Let's go racing indeed. That's what we're here to do today with the Pace-O-Matic 99 for the Smart Modified Tour. 99 laps of battle for these mighty modifieds around this 3/8 of a mile racetrack today in the western part of South Carolina. We do have some weather that we are looking at to the west of us. We believe that we have the opportunity to get this entire race in today, but we are going to be cognizant of that throughout this entire race. The Carolina Drilling and CitrusSafe drone camera will be providing some unique views of this beautiful facility and the crowd continuing to come in here. After the Smart Modified Tour, there will be plenty of other local racing, which you will be able to see right here on Flow Racing this evening. It's about time we kick off driver introductions for a strong 25-car field with a bunch of stars from modified racing all over the country. So without further ado, let's kick things off here today. Here's the starting lineup for the Pace-O-Matic 99. Starting 25th, he drives the number 22, a top 10 finisher at the King of the Modifieds and South Boston Speedway a couple of years ago. Out of Advance, North Carolina, it's Jason Tutterow. Starting 24th, this driver last year, a handful of top 10 runs for him. He's in the Yates Grading and Paving number 18. Out of Lexington, North Carolina, it's Daniel Yates. Starting 23rd, we call him the nice guy. He drives the number 21 car, and he's been running here at Anderson for quite some time in modifieds as well as late models. Put your hands together for the 21 of Jimmy Wallace. Starting to the outside of row number 11. He'll start 22nd here today. He's out of Harrisburg, North Carolina, one of the Rookie of the Year competitors with the Smart Modified Tour for the 14 of Austin McDaniel. One of the legends of our series. Lines up on the inside of row number 11. He'll start 21st today, making a return to the Smart Modified Tour for the first time in many years. The driver of the 71 and a former winner in Tour Type Modified Series racing here at Anderson, it's the Mayberry Bullet, John Smith. Starting 20th, one of the Racing Electronics Rookie of the Year competitors. He's out of Long Island, New York. In the 45 for Joe Denseski, it's Max Hanley. Starting 19th, also from Long Island, New York, out of Northport, in the number 77 PSR ride for Will Lambros. Starting 18th, in the number 8 car, out of Concord, North Carolina, by way of Worcester, Massachusetts, it's the number 8 of John Michael Jeanette. This kid impressed 1 week ago at the opener at Florence Motor Speedway, picked up the Pace-O-Matic Pole Award. Out of Babylon, New York, this week in a number 99 for Jamie and Cheryl Tomino, it's Sean McIlerney. Starting 16th, 4th generation Myers family to compete in modified racing. Out of Walnut Cove, North Carolina, in the number 4, it's Slate Myers. Another Long Islander will start 15th. He's out of Manorville in the number 24 Amerifast car for Joey Braun. Starting 14th, the winner of the Smart Modified Tour at Coastal Plains Raceway 1 year ago. Out of Oxford, North Carolina, in the Hillbilly Racing number 79, it's J Cash, Jonathan Cash. Lucky number 13 starting spot goes to this driver out of Miami Springs, Florida, a former winner in the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series in the Grey Ghost 02 for Joey Coulter. Starting 12th in the Factory 39 team. Out of Mooresville, North Carolina, by way of Waverly, New York, it's Bryce Bailey. And the 11th starting spot for this one. He drives the Bass Pro Shops Cabela's number 2 for Randy Renfro. Out of South Bend, Indiana, it's the Rocket Man, Ryan Newman. And here are your top 10 starters in today's starting lineup in a brand new prototype chassis. This driver from Ontario, Canada, a former champion in the NASCAR wars north of the border for the 13 of Caden Lapsevich. In the 9th spot in the 16 VA for Sadler Stanley Racing with Pace-O-Matic on the side of this race car. Out of Hampton, Virginia, it's late model stock car competitor Connor Hall. A second-generation driver lines up in the 8th starting spot. He's out of Mooresville, North Carolina in the Bass Pro Shops, number 40 for Carter McMurray. Starting 7th. That might be a good omen for him today. In the Stoke Shoes 7NY out of Mooresville, North Carolina, 3rd-generation modified racer for Jack Baldwin. In the 6th spot out of Walnut Cove, North Carolina, a 3-time Smart Modified Tour champion for the Ace, Burt Myers. In the 5th starting spot, he'll be in the Shady Grady Racing number 15 here today. From Clemens, North Carolina, he's a competitor full-time on the Z-Max Cars Tour Late Model Stock Car Wars. It's Carson Lofton. The Pace-O-Matic pole sitter today at Anderson Motor Speedway with a new track record is behind the wheel of the 7 VA. He will line up on the outside of row number 2 for Luke Baldwin. On the inside of that row, starting 3rd in a brand new prototype chassis. This driver out of North Carolina, former late model stock car competitor himself for Jake the Snake Crum. And on the front row for this 99-lap race today for the Smart Modified Tour powered by Pace-O-Matic out of Freehold, New Jersey, by way of Wall Stadium, a 2-time winner with the Smart Modified Tour in 2025. In the 25 car, it's Danny Bad to the Bone. And on the point, leading the field to the green flag, in the KevinSaysYes.com Polaris Outdoors 04 machine. He's a 2-time NASCAR modified champion at Bowman Gray Stadium out of Winston-Salem, North Carolina. It's Brandon Ward. And that is your starting lineup, 25 strong today for the Pace-O-Matic 99 at Anderson Motor Speedway. I am Bob Dillner. Alongside of me is Will Battershell. And Will, it's hot, it's sticky, humid for sure, because Mother Nature is about an hour, hour and a half to the west of us with a big line of storms coming. But we believe that 99 laps will be okay for this race here today at Anderson.
Absolutely, and one thing that we saw that's going to be really interesting, it did rain a little bit, and now the sun's out, and we really have not seen the sun at all day. So the handling on these cars is going to be a little bit different, and I wouldn't be surprised with the first caution that we see some cars pit to get that adjustment.
So many storylines in this race here today as we take a look from our Citrus Safe Carolina Drilling drone coverage on our Flow Racing broadcast. We mentioned these 25 cars. We got winners and champions and youth on the rise in motorsports competing here today with the Smart Modified Tour. And if you look at the car on the outside of the second row, Luke Baldwin, he's the 2-time defending champion, hoping to bounce back after a tough season opener last week in Florence, South Carolina.
And he started it off perfectly with qualifying on pole. The redraw didn't go his way, so he's going to start in that 4th position. But he has a really fast race car, and we saw this last year too, where first race, unfortunate situation, and then he comes and bounces back and dominates the race, and he is showing that 7NY or 7VA is very fast.
Yeah, we do have the 7NY in the starting lineup. That car will start on the inside of row number 4. Ladies and gentlemen, it's time to head downstairs for the command to fire engines. And what we'll do here is we'll take it from the booth. And I want the fans to actually help me out here today to get these things fired. 600 horsepower times 25 strong. So I'll count down from 3, 2, 1. Drivers, start your engines. The rumble of 600 horsepower being felt in Anderson, South Carolina. This is the second straight year that the Smart Modified Tour has visited this historic facility in the Palmetto State. It had not been here prior to last year since 2001. A big gap. But this is the fourth race in the history of the Smart Tour at Anderson Motor Speedway. And there the cars are pulling off of pit road to circle around this 3/8 of a mile oval. We arrived this morning to cloudy conditions, maybe a little bit of a mist just north of here, but here is overhead above this famous facility in South Carolina. And the starting lineup for the Pace-O-Matic 99 looks like this. Brandon Ward, Danny Bone on the front row, two big-time veteran competitors in this starting lineup.
Yeah, second row we have Jake Crum and Luke Baldwin, two very fast race cars looking to bounce back after an unfortunate first race at Florence.
A Lofton and a Myers in the same row in the starting lineup for a Smart Tour race. Sounds like years ago when Brian Lofton and Burt Myers would go at it, but here it's the veteran Burton Myers starting 6 and Carson Lofton, the kid, the teenager, on the inside of row number 3.
Row 4, you have two sophomores of the series, Jack Baldwin and Carter McMurray, looking to continue that momentum that they had week 1 in Florence.
First Tour type modified start for Connor Hall, and the late model stock car veteran will line up on the inside of row number 5. Caden Lapsevich, who runs anything with wheels, he's from Canada, on the outside of row number 5.
Row 6, you have Ryan Newman and Bryce Bailey. Bryce Bailey making his first start in the 39 factory car today for the series.
You take a look at this starting lineup, it is littered with superstars. Former NASCAR Truck Series winner Joey Coulter will line up 13th. Jonathan Cash, who won last year at Coastal Plains Raceway, this year in the 79 on the outside of row number 7.
In row number 8, you have another set of sophomores. You have Joey Braun in the 24 and Slate Myers in the 4 car.
Sean McInerney, second straight week with the Smart Modified Tour, making his second career start and with his second car, the 99 this time for Sean McInerney. John Michael Chanette in the number 8 alongside of him.
In row 10, you have a pair of rookies with Will Lambros in the 77 and Max Hanley in the 45 NC.
Mayberry Bullet, John Smith in the 71 on the inside of row number 11. Austin McDaniel, the Racing Electronics Rookie of the Year competitor, in the Bobby Meismer, Kevin Hughes, number 14. Then rounding out the field, it's Jimmy Wallace, Daniel Yates, and also Jason Tutterow in the number 22 machine. So 99 laps will be the battle today. Just a couple of reminders. If you think about this race, there's a lot of strategy that's involved. At the end of lap 30 will be the conclusion of Bell Helmet stage number 1. And then after that, they will go the rest of the distance. If there's not another caution, there won't be one. No other competition cautions in the Smart Modified Tour. But a lot of strategy involved here, because when will people stop for that one coveted right rear tire, most likely, that they will take during this race? Ladies and gentlemen, we want you to get up out of your seat and stand up. It's time to pay tribute to the men and the machines of the Smart Modified Tour. 600 horsepower, you gotta love it, because this is our salute to open wheels, chrome horns, and 600 horsepower. The ground pounders, the Mod Squad. This is the Smart Modified Tour. And a big thank you to Pace-O-Matic for all they do, not just for this race as the title sponsor, but the presenting sponsor of the entire series. Chris Williams and the entire staff, they work hard, but it would not be without the support of Pace-O-Matic, which makes this series possible at tracks all across the Mid-Atlantic. So many storylines coming into this one here today. Look no further than the front row. The 04 Brandon Ward announces over the winter that he's going full-time Smart Modified Tour racing. He's a serious championship contender, but so is the guy on the outside who won 2 races in just 9 events last year, Danny Bone in the 25.
And we saw those two really show their strengths last week at Florence, and the two vets really dominated the race. So expect to see a lot of the same with them starting 1-2 once again.
For the second straight week, the Smart Modified Tour is racing in the Palmetto State. This is the Pace-O-Matic 99. So ladies and gentlemen, by the grace of God and 600 horsepower, here is the Smart Modified Tour at Anderson Motor Speedway. Brandon Ward, Danny Bone, toe-to-toe down the backstretch. This is a two-groove racetrack. You can make that outside groove work, and that's exactly what Danny Bone is doing right now. In fact, he's got a little momentum, and Danny Bone in the 25 grams the lead here at Anderson in the Pace-O-Matic 99.
And we're going to see a lot different racing style than what we saw last week at Florence, to where you can run both those lanes, and you will see people choose that outside to get around the other drivers.
Jake Crum falls into third. Battle is for fourth between a pair of young guns. Luke Baldwin on the outside, Carson Lofton on the inside. Brandon Ward thought about going to the outside of Danny Bone, kind of open up the door for Jake Crum, who's in one of those brand new prototype machines. Had himself a good run last week, a good run here at Anderson last year, and Crum already on the charge in that one car.
We saw these three cars up front pretty much all race last week, and same thing now, to where the 1, the 25, and the 04 just really flexing their muscles at the start.
So it's Danny Bone with Jake Crum looking underneath. Brandon Ward in the third spot. Here comes Crum. Crum to the inside of Danny Bone. Veteran versus a late model stock car veteran. Jake Crum came over to the Modifieds a few years ago and now finds his home with the Smart Modified Tour. His wife, Annabeth Crum, a veteran of the late model stock car wars as well. But Crum, this is his own race car. He built it, prepared it, and finished it right before the opener last week at Florence Motor Speedway. And for the second straight week, this car is very fast.
It's going to be interesting to see, because tires will play an effect at this race. So will Crum use too much now and then fade out, or is it a little bit of a different situation to where these tires aren't falling off like the drivers expected?
Look at this battle. Lofton and Baldwin still going at it. Baldwin, miserable week last week in the opener. A DNF. He's way behind the 8-ball when it comes to this points race, trying to get that title for the third straight year.
And he's just kind of minding his business right now, taking the gaps when they appear, and not really pushing the issue as he gets around Lofton and just kind of running his own race to start.
Maybe that car a little bit tight right now, because you see Baldwin trying to put that left front tire down on the apron to turn it in the middle of the corner. Jonathan Cash gets a spot. Jay Cash in the 79 orange machine is able to pick up the spot. So Jonathan Cash moving through the field a little bit. You see Carter McMurray in the number 40, and that's Caden Lapsevich in the white number 13, a brand new race car debuting today at Anderson. Lapsevich, a former NASCAR Canada Series champion. McMurray fades back, now under the attack of the Gray Ghost, the 02 of Coulter. Coulter did not qualify well. It's something that has plagued this driver for the last year and a half, but McMurray can't keep the car to the bottom. That's going to open up the door to the bottom side of Joey Coulter. Here comes Jack Baldwin in the Stokes Shoes machine.
And Jack Baldwin's had a little bit of a rough start of the race. Started 7th, has fallen all the way back to 12th. So the handling on that car, probably not what he's looking for.
So McMurray in that black and orange number 40 holds down the 10th spot. Everybody battling to get in the top 10. Behind that, you see the 16 machine as well. Connor Hall, the ZMAX Cars Tour regular for the past couple of years, battling in his first modified race for Sadler Stanley Racing. But some good racing in the opening laps of this race, including that blue number 45 car. He's a Racing Electronics Rookie of the Year competitor, Max Hanley out of Long Island, New York. And how about this for Max Hanley? He missed his rehearsal dinner for Jack Hanley, his brother's wedding, which is tomorrow. After this race, he's got to drive 12 hours to New Jersey to attend his brother's wedding as his best man.
That is just the dedicated life of a racer right there, coming and racing in Anderson and then going all the way back up. That just sounds like a great weekend.
We're showing you these battles outside the top 10 right now because up front it looks like this. Danny Bone right now has that top spot. Second is Jake Crum. Third is Brandon Ward. And how about Burt Myers? Burt Myers, who's a force to be reckoned with in Anderson and a force to be reckoned with for Brandon Ward. Burt Myers moves his way up to the third spot. And this is a track that Burt Myers has a lot of experience at. 3 prior Smart races here at this racetrack, all top 10 runs for him here with the Smart Series. But remember, he did win a Coma modified race back in 2015 at Anderson.
Burt Myers has a ton of experience, and it's going to show. It's already showed with him jumping up from 6th up to 3rd just from the first 20 laps of the race.
Yeah, Burt Myers now solely in that 3rd spot, little gap between he and the leaders, and then he in the 4th place running Brandon Ward. No difference in the top 5, but we do have a gaggle of race cars still battling from about 6 on back, including Luke Baldwin, Jonathan Cash. Slate Myers is in the top 10 as well right now, battling in the latter part of that top 10. There is the gaggle of cars. You see Joey Coulter not afraid to go to the outside, trying to work that 02 gray machine to the outside of Slate Myers, the sophomore driver.
And it's a very common theme for Joey Coulter to maybe not qualify like he wants to, but then the race pace in that car is so much better than the qualifying pace.
Coulter is moving. He's by Slate Myers, so Coulter now up to 8th, trying to get 7th from Jonathan Cash. Cash told us during the Pace-O-Matic pit party he doesn't necessarily like this racetrack. It's old, it's worn out, you got to save your tires. He's a hard charger. He likes to go for it right now, trying to bide his time as Lapsevich moves to the outside in that white machine on the outside of Slate Myers.
And Lapsevich kind of just saw what Coulter's doing, and he was like, you know what, if nobody's there, I might as well go with him. And he's already making up passes as he's side by side with Slate Myers.
Little contact going into turn number 1 last time by. It was the 02 machine of Coulter kind of getting into the back end of Luke Baldwin a little bit. Luke Baldwin, don't know if he's saving his stuff or what, and that's what I would imagine right now, saving his stuff as Lapsevich comes up a little bit loose coming off the corner and might lose a spot to Connor Hall in that black and yellow Pace-O-Matic 16 car. But it's Baldwin, his teammate, that is trying to fend off Joey Coulter. And this right now, battle inside the top 10 for 6th. Up front, Jake Crum still hounding Danny Bone. We saw this last week. Those 2 guys go out at Florence Motor Speedway. Jake Crum got in an incident in a late race restart, stopped on the racetrack, came back to finish in the top 10, but Danny Bone had himself a good run, was leading late in the race, and lost that lead on a restart late in the going and wound up with a top 3 finish.
Yeah, and it looks like Crum's starting to slow up a little bit as Danny Bone has just opened up a massive gap in 1 lap on him. So either he's saving his stuff or something's wrong.
That went by so quick, and that's the conclusion of Bell Helmet stage number 1. So it's Danny Bone who picks up the victory. A little extra cash and some bonus points that go towards the championship equation. Little cash for Jake Crum as well as Burt Myers, the top 3 at the end of Bell Helmet stage number 1. And what I love about Bell Helmets, definitely their eye is on safety, and they provide safety in terms of helmets for a lot of these drivers in the Smart Modified Tour. But not only there, you can use their helmets in your UTV or wherever you may need it. A lot of safety innovation from the folks of Bell Racing. Visit them on their social media channels. We'll take a quick break here at the conclusion of Bell Helmet Stage 1 and come back. Danny Bone is your leader early in this one, trying to get his first victory of the year today at Anderson. Danny Bone in control of this race so far in the 25 machine with Alpine Partners on the side of that race car. But he's got a lot of heavy hitters behind him, including a pair of #1 machines in Jake Crum and Burt Myers.
Yeah, and Jake Crum was right on the back bumper of that 25 car the whole entire run, just kind of waiting for a mistake. So it's going to be really interesting to see now, with no guaranteed caution left, how does Crum race this against Bone, and is he aggressive right off of that restart? And then behind him, Burt Myers, who started in the 6th position, was able to work himself up through the traffic and get all the way back up to 3rd, and now is in contention.
We'll go to the Racing Electronics Race Communication. Burt Myers, good run so far, dude, in that 3rd spot. How good does that car feel?
It feels pretty good right now. It's about managing, make sure you don't use up too much here. But so far, so good. Car feels pretty sporty. We're just trying to be pleasantly persistent here.
Persistent, patiently aggressive is another term. How much do you have to manage those tires in this old, worn-out racetrack?
Well, I think it's kind of an unknown to everybody. The cars have gotten so much better over the last few years that I think you can push harder than you used to. But I'm trying to push as hard as I can without spinning or sliding. So, like I said, so far so good, and we're headed in the right direction.
Good luck, Burt. You're coming to the CitraSafe Choose Cone, by the way.
Thank you, sir.
Burt Myers, you got to love his spirit, and he's had such a great year, has won championships all over the tour type modified world in the South, 3 times here with the Smart Modified Tour. And there is the CitraSafe Grill Cleaners, Carolina Drilling drone coverage on Flow Racing today. And I think a lot of people that are parked up there in turn #1, they got their grills out today, they're tailgating, having themselves a good time watching the Smart Modifieds here. They're going to need themselves some CitraSafe Grill Cleaner.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's just so cool to see all the cars backed up to the track outside of 1 and 2, and even it's 2 levels, so there's so much more availability for the people to come and watch the race. It's so cool to see what Anderson Motor Speedway is doing.
So many stars in this lineup. Daniel Yates, by the way, in the 18 machine visited pit road during this caution period to try to dial in that race car. And there are the tailgaters, multi-tiered in turn #1. I was hanging out with them earlier on our Flow Racing broadcast. And a big shout out to Scott Childress and his entire staff and what they've done at Anderson Speedway. The ZMAX Car Store will be back here later this year. You'll see that on live on Flow Racing as well. But they have really just kind of taken this racetrack and really kind of rejuvenated it, if you will. The Porter family laid the foundation for this racetrack, and the Childress family just keep on pouring their passion and their love for asphalt stock car racing here into Anderson Motor Speedway. So Danny Bone chooses the outside for this next restart. 1 to go until we get to that. Still early in the going here. 30 laps complete. Brandon Ward back in that 3rd spot. Burt Myers, we just talked to him. There's a 71 of John Smith. John Smith, back in 2016, drove to victory lane here in a Tour Type Modified Series event, led every single lap. He's one of the most decorated smart drivers in history of this series, and it's nice to see the 71 here with John Smith behind the wheel. And a big shout out to Choice Tire, who supported him in his endeavor. To the Pace-O-Matic restart zone we go. Danny Bone fires first. Not a good restart for Jake Crum in the Mount Airy Toyota machine.
Great restart by Bone, taking that top lane, gives him the good arch down into 1, and now he's already starting to get that car length on Crum.
The top 4, pretty much single file. After that, all bets are off. Carson Lofton in the Shady Grady Racing 15 with Jonathan Cash trying to go to his outside. Good run for the Sundrop 79 of Cash after what was a topsy-turvy season opener last week at Florence. Not bad for a guy that says he doesn't like this racetrack.
Yeah, he seems to navigate it pretty well, just kind of minding his business as Lofton is going inside of Ward in 3 and 4 for 4th place. Lofton dives in and cannot get the move done, so Brandon Ward holds on to that fourth position.
Cash trying to hold off Slate Myers. Slate, during the Pace-O-Matic pit party, talked about how he was third for a late race restart last year and just made a mistake, trying to not make those newcomer mistakes. As a sophomore now, having a good run is Slate Myers in that black number 4. Battling with Jonathan Cash. This is a contest for 6th on the racetrack. Myers has it now. Look at this. Baldwin thought about going 3 wide with Coulter to the outside of the 39. Baldwin into the back of the 0-2 of Joey Coulter. Coulter saves it. Nice move by Joey Coulter.
That was a great save by Coulter because that could have been huge if he ended up spinning around, but keeps it clean and only loses 1 position in the process.
Yeah, knocking Coulter back a little bit here to 10th, battling with Connor Hall in the 16 VA. This is an all-star car for S&S Racing this year. Last week, we saw Hermie Sadler, the former Busch Series winner, in it. This week, we see one of the late model stock car, competitors that is so good around this area for so many years make his first start with the Smart Modified Tour. And when we get to the King of the Modifieds in a couple of weeks, we'll see NASCAR Cup Series winner Elliott Sadler behind the wheel at South Boston Speedway.
The All-Star car is such a cool idea to get so many different drivers from different backgrounds to come and race in the Smart Modified Tour and just help bring all the different communities together.
The interesting thing for Connor Hall is he said, you know what, there's not much difference at Anderson between a late model stock car and modified. And I was floored when he said that. He said, it's just a lack of grip. And we got problems on the racetrack. The 15 of Carson Lofton slowing. We saw smoke billowing from the back end of that machine. Possible problems underneath the hood on Carson Lofton's machine.
And that's just unfortunate. We've seen Lofton last year with so much speed, and then something would bite them in the rear, and once again, a super fast race car, and then it goes up in smoke.
Technical term, bit them in the rear. I love that. First on the racetrack is Danny Bones. Second, Jake Crum. The number 1 of Burt Myers. That orange number 1 is in the 3rd spot, so no changes really at the top of the heap. But still, everybody behind that trying to figure out what they need to do. Do I charge hard now and risk wearing out those tires, or do I try to just ride in the middle part of this race? We are already past, we have 57, 56 now laps to go in this race, and Ward starting to pick up the steam a little bit, pulling up to the back bumper of the number 1 of Myers.
By this point of the race, the drivers really have a good idea on what the tires are doing. So you're going to see a lot of these drivers start pushing if the wear isn't as bad as they expected it to be.
And you see what Brandon Ward is doing there. He's trying not to punish that right front. He'll let that car just kind of go up the racetrack. Doesn't do it there in 3 and 4, but he did it the last lap in 1 and 2 to try to not wear out that right front. There's Carson Lofton, and you can see the crew underneath the hood on that race car. Maybe a fueling issue on that machine. Hard to tell. We did see smoke come out the back of it. So something amiss in the engine department for the 15 of Carson Lofton. Third is Burt Myers. 4th, the 04 KevinSaysYes.com machine for Brandon Ward. Here comes Jack Baldwin. Baldwin in the Stokes Shoes machine. Boy, does he have a big week. Finished 2nd in the season opener at Florence, comes here hoping for his first career Smart Modified Tour victory. Almost had it last year, was battling for 2nd when he got squeezed into the wall. And how about this? Next week, Jack Baldwin becomes a dad. That's incredible.
Yeah, it's so awesome for him. And we saw last week that the later the run went on, the better that 7 NY was. So it's going to be interesting to see if we go green, just how much ground he can make up. As you can see, he's already almost on the back of Newman.
By the way, you see the factory 39 car coming down pit road. That's Bryce Bailey making his first start of the season with that team, and they're going to pull it into their pit stall. So trouble for Bryce Bailey early in this race. The H. Williams Capital Halfway Leader Award goes to Danny Bone. He's going to pick up a little bit of extra cash. Thank you to Haley Williams. If you want to figure out your financial future, check out H. Williams Capital.
Burt Myers got really tight coming out at 2 and lost a lot of ground to Jake Crum and has fallen back into the clutches of Brandon Ward.
The top 10 now pretty much single file. as it's Bone over Crum, Burt Myers, Ward, and Slate Myers in the top 5. Jonathan Cash rides in that 6th spot. Luke Baldwin, Connor Hall in 8th, Joey Coulter in 9th, and Ryan Newman. Really haven't spoken much about him in that Bass Pro Shops car. He rides in the 10th spot right now. Danny Bone was so impressive last year in part-time competition with the Smart Series. 9 races, 7 top 5 finishes, along with 2 wins. Mike Smith, we call him Andretti. He is meticulous in his preparation for this race car. Danny says he loves working with Andretti, and together they formed a little bit of a dream team.
And we saw that last year when they finally were able to race in the Smart Tour. They all but dominated every single race that they ran, and we've already seen it with the first 2 races this season. That 25 car is good.
This is the 2nd race of the year for the Smart Modified Tour. We'll take a week off, and then we'll head to South Boston Speedway in 2 weeks for the Pace-O-Matic King of the Modifieds, presented by Dominion Energy, the richest modified race in the country, just in 2 weeks on Saturday, March 21st. There is Baldwin getting by Joey Coulter. Here comes Newman. Newman and that Randy Renfro prepared number 2 machine has fallen in love with modifieds. Low, light, and left. He talks about it all the time. A bunch of tire, a bunch of power. Newman, a 3-time winner on the Smart Modified Tour just last year. Newman now in that top 10. Jack Baldwin just in front of him. But you gotta think, are any of these guys playing the strategy game and not punishing their tires? Just in case, remember, we told you they have 1 tire at their disposal to come down pit road and take. But if it goes green the rest of the way, I don't think many people are going to come in. They're going to be holding on for dear life.
And there's going to be a line of how much can you save while still thinking that you can catch the leader.
We got a car stopped on the backstretch. It's the 71 as we enter turn number 3 on the inside retaining wall. It's John Smith, who is driving the choice tire number 71. They came testing here, and he said, oh, if we're going to test, I'm going to be first there, right? I want some competition. So they decided to compete in this event. We hope to see John, who's a 3-time winner on the Smart Modified Tour through the years, come back and compete with the series on several occasions in 2026. So he brings out the caution, the second one, and it's the VCU Massey Comprehensive Cancer Center caution. Big shout out to VCU Massey Comprehensive Cancer Center for all they do, not only with treatment, but prevention and awareness as well. If you're not in the Richmond, Virginia area, they will help you get with the right doctors in whatever area you are in. So VCU Massey Comprehensive Cancer Center, check them out online.
It was almost on cue of you saying, how much do they save until a caution? And then the next thing you know, the caution comes out. So I expect everybody to pit here, but we're going to really see who saved those tires now when it comes back to that restart and all the cars are bunched up with that one fresh Hoosier tire.
Yeah, Mitch, our camera operator on pit road will be busy because as soon as they get the green go sign that pit road is open, you're going to see a ton of cars on pit road. I see everyone with the jacks and the pit guns at the ready, pit signs, getting ready to get their drivers located and allocated exactly where they want on pit road. This is a tight pit road at Anderson Motor Speedway, but these teams will be able to make chassis adjustments, take 1 tire, 1 fresh new tire, and then also swap the other tires that are on those race cars to different corners of the car to get the desired stagger you want. We see Max Hanley on pit road in the number 45 machine. John Smith is down there as well. So a couple of guys coming down a little bit early here as everybody else awaits pit road to be open to come down and make some adjustments on their cars, because this will probably be the only shot that you have to get it right for the rest of the distance.
Yeah, and the adjustments are going to be a really big thing, especially with the sun still being in both 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. It's a completely different condition than what we saw during the practice and qualifying. So now these cars finally have that brake to go in and get that adjustment, get those fresh tires, and really just send it full throttle for the rest of the last 40 laps that are left.
You see Jonathan Cash behind Danny Bone. You see Mike Smith making an adjustment on the right front to get that car handling a little bit better to Danny's liking in the second half of this race.
Yeah, Danny Bone, when he gets that adjustment, he's already been so fast. You just gotta hope if you're his opponents that you can make that right adjustment with him so that you can run right behind him, and if he makes that mistake, you're able to take advantage of that mistake. As you can see here, Burt Myers getting ready to switch that right rear tire and put that new fresh Hoosier on.
Burt Myers with the veteran team, and a big shout out to Citrus 8, celebrating their 25th year. Cleaning grills around America. As we mentioned, the King of the Modifieds at South Boston Speedway, a two-day show on Friday and Saturday, March 20th and 21st. We are going to crown another king in just a couple of weeks. Today we will crown a king at South Boston Speedway. It's time to fire up with the King of the Modifieds at South Boston.
Matt Hirschman all over the back bumper of the Pace-O-Matic number 7.
They battled last year here at South Boston to be crowned a king. Hirschman, one of the best in modified racing, gonna nose out in front here at South Boston. Baldwin wants the crown again. Oh, hard into the wall. Jack Baldwin at 99. Crum grabs a hold of Baldwin. They're going at it in turn number 1. Some say Matt Hirschman is already a king, but today he will officially become the king of the modifieds with a win at South Boston Speedway.
Hear ye, hear ye. A decree from the Commonwealth to all nations.
You'll be able to watch that race live on Flow Racing, but check out the King of the Modifieds. Pace-O-Matic and Dominion Energy stepping up to come on board to support that race, the richest race in modified racing. You can get your tickets by going to the South Boston Speedway website. And I'll tell you what, South Boston Speedway, immaculate, beautiful. You can name a lot of adjectives to describe that racetrack, but South Boston Speedway on Saturday, March 21st, it'll be a blast to watch the modifieds race around that racetrack. Cars pulling off of pit road, everybody trying to get back in their spot. We're going to head back to the Racing Electronics Race Communication in just a second. And there is Danny Bone trying to make his way back to the front of the field. All these teams coming down pit road just recently to make those adjustments, and we did see some adjustments on that 25. I was a little bit surprised because that car has been awfully good, but he's got a lot of big names behind him. Jake Crum, newcomer to modifieds, but Burt Myers, Brandon Ward, you name it. Those are some heavy hitters up there, and some of them that have some success here at Anderson Speedway. Burt Myers in the number 1 car, former winner here in Tour Type Modified competition, and Brandon Ward in the 04, a winner in super late model racing action here at Anderson years ago. Danny Bone inside the cockpit of that race car. Danny, how good is that race car? And it looked like you might have made an adjustment. How come?
Yeah, we're pretty good. Just a little on the snug side, but all in all, the balance is pretty good. Just trying to set it up here for this last run. We've had a pretty good car so far, so hopefully we can just close it out.
Danny, with that good race car, and you've been really strong behind the wheel, is there anything that worries you in the last half of this race?
Not really. I mean, we typically have a good car in the long run. You'll probably see a couple cautions here, but I know we got a car. We just need a little luck.
All right, we wish you the best of luck in that Andretti prepared race car. I know Tom Dancer is watching here today on Flow Racing.
Oh yeah, I'm sure they all are. But yeah, thanks to everybody that hopped on board again this year for giving this opportunity. It's a lot of fun.
All right, that is Danny Bone behind the wheel of the 25 machine, getting ready for a restart here in the second half of this Pace-O-Matic 99.
I like that he mentioned about the cautions, because in racing, cautions breed cautions. And we're with 61 laps into this race so far, and we kind of saw this at Florence too, where we had a late race caution, and then it was a spree of 4 cautions, and then we finally got that race to the finish. So it's going to be interesting to see if these drivers can keep it clean or if it's going to be a little bit of a wreck fest in the next couple laps.
And right now they're coming to the CitraSafe choose cone. What will Danny Bone choose? He chooses that outside. It's been very good for him, and want to give you a little bit of a reminder. Getting some warmer weather around the country. That means it's grilling season, right? You're going to need some CitraSafe biodegradable grill cleaner. You can get it at Lowe's, Home Depot, Walmart, a bunch of different stores around America. Keep your grill clean and ready for some cooking, because if it's race season, it's grilling season, and you got to get yourself some CitraSafe grill cleaner. Big thank you to Carolina Drilling as well. They support the Smart Modified Tour with the drone coverage, as well as fielding a couple of modifieds with the series as well. Jake Crum on the inside, but the control car for this restart is the 25 car of Danny Bone. Nice and slow is the pace to the Pace-O-Matic restart zone. Jake Crum kind of took Bone up the racetrack a little bit. Jake Crum to the lead in the Pace-O-Matic 99, puts Danny Bone back to second, but Bone has that car hooked up on the outside. Will Jake Crum allow him to get alongside of him again off of turn number 2? Not that time.
It didn't look like anything malicious either. It kind of just looked like Crum got in a little too deep, got tight and slid up, and that's what caused both of them to slide up, and Crum just so happened to get the run.
If anybody is going to wrestle back by you after taking the lead, trouble for Brandon Ward. Brandon Ward up the racetrack in 1 and 2, and it was trouble for him, but he's gotten back in line, but he's lost about 4 spots on the racetrack for last week's Florence Motor Speedway winner. Danny Bone says, I'll go back to the bottom, maybe make it the easy way around Jake Crum. Crum kind of pinches him to the bottom. Danny Bone does not have anything to do with that. The charge off the corner for the 25. Bone trying to get back to the top spot to get by Jake Crum. You see Crum with a little burp on the throttle. Can't hold that top spot down. Danny Bone back to the lead. But Brandon Ward had some trouble. You see his 04 machine. He went way up the racetrack in turn number 1, lost a bunch of spots, but was able to get it collected. And now trouble for Jake Crum. Here comes Luke Baldwin. Luke Baldwin shoots into second. The Pace-O-Matic pole winner here today with fast time in qualifying. Luke Baldwin trying to avenge a difficult season opener. Florence 1 week ago is up to second.
Yeah, it looks like within a span of a couple laps, both Crum and Ward got into the marbles up outside of the track, and it really slowed them down. So now it's going to be interesting to see, with about 30 laps left, how can they bounce back?
Joey Coulter, got a squeeze there by the 4 car of Slate Myers down the backstretch. Slate Myers running in 6th, but Coulter putting some pressure. And as I say that, Connor Hall back to the inside of the gray number 02 with Ryan Newman right behind both of those race car drivers. Connor Hall having himself a good ride in his first modified race after all that experience the past couple of years. Has finished runner-up on the ZMAX Car Store late model stock car battle in 3 of the last 4 years. Just a talented driver who's going to be wheeling the Nice Motorsports car as well for a couple races in the NASCAR Truck Series. We got a melee in turns 3 and 4. They're all stacked up to bring out the VCU Massey Comprehensive Cancer Center caution. Jack Baldwin, Carter McMurray, Joey Braun, Daniel Yates, Max Hanley, and Jimmy Wallace all involved in this one.
By the looks of it, it looked like Jack got tagged a little bit, and that's what sent him sideways, and then it was just an accordion effect behind him.
Everybody else trying to make their way through there right now. We're going to have to get this one sorted out here, because it looks like Jimmy Wallace might be stuck up on the Nerf bar of the 45 of Max Hanley. Let's check out what we saw on the racetrack to bring out this VCU Massey caution. Let's check it out. Watch behind this. See Coulter and Newman down in the corner. but I believe they get backed up right behind this battle. Jonathan Cash is that 79 car. John Michael Chamet. And then there is Jack Baldwin. Might have got a little help from behind to send that Stoke Shoes 7NY around. And then they all just kind of stopped on the racetrack to avoid collecting each other, with the exception of right there, Max Hanley, nowhere to go, gets in the back of Jimmy Wallace. So the VCU Massey Comprehensive Cancer Center caution is out here at Anderson Motor Speedway. The teams are stopped on the backstretch. We'll clean this one up on the corner in turn number 3 and get green once again here at Anderson. Welcome back to the Smart Modified Tour, race number 2 on the season. This one in the Palmetto State at Anderson Motor Speedway. Luke Baldwin having himself a great run. Luke, you gained a lot of spots on that last restart. Was it that the car came alive, or were you saving your stuff before that?
I mean, I definitely rode a little too hard in that first segment, but I'm not really sure how good we were. And then it seems like everything on that restart seemed to go my way. I'm not really sure what we got right now either. I think it fired off okay, but as laps went on, I was definitely getting a little worried. So we'll see about this next 28 or however many laps we got to go, and see if hopefully the weather comes to us or something to make this thing go a little bit better, trying to get to 25.
Hey, Luke, what do you love about this racetrack?
Yeah, man, I don't really know. I'd say the first thing is that I'm pretty decent here. I think that's the greatest thing. And then other than that, I like an abrasive racetrack, tight corners. You can get racy. There's ways to pass. So yeah, it just suits my style for whatever reason. Yeah, and then obviously the management have always been great to me, and they've done a really nice job with this racetrack the past year or so, 2 years, to get it looking this nice.
Wish you the best of luck, Luke.
Thanks, Bob.
Luke Baldwin behind the wheel of the Pace-O-Matic 7VA for Herbie Sadler and Bill Stanley. A big shout out to both of them. I don't believe they're here today, so I'm sure they're watching live on Flow Racing, and we appreciate their support of bringing some fine modifieds to the field and a pilot like Luke Baldwin. There's Carter McMurray on pit road, and you see the measuring tape out on the right rear tire, measuring the stagger on that PSR house car, trying to get it dialed in to Carter McMurray's liking. McMurray here last year ran this race, second straight year of modified competition for the kid that actually won a few crate modified races at Ace Speedway in North Carolina last year.
And he was fast last year, just kind of had a few mistakes that costed him really good finishes throughout the season. But overall, that 40 car is fast, and it's awesome to see him come back and try his shot at another championship. I want to go back to something that Luke Baldwin said, and the work that they've done here at Anderson Motor Speedway, it just is so beautiful. This track with the blue stripes on the outside, it's just all the work that they've done. Shout out to everybody at Anderson Motor Speedway. As we're pacing, we are going to be coming to the choose cone shortly, and Danny Bone's going to get his option at the top or the bottom. But with Luke Baldwin on whatever side that he starts on, it's going to be really interesting. Two really, really fast and competitive racers who know how to be aggressive but clean while being aggressive.
It's going to be interesting in the latter half of this race. Good crowd on hand here today. Remember, the ZMAX Car Store comes here later this year. They put on a heck of a show last year as well. And this is a place that's really rising back to prominence in this part of the country. And I know everybody around here misses Greenville-Pickens Speedway, and there's still a battle right there to preserve that historic racetrack, Greenville-Pickens Speedway. And that was just down the road from here, about 45 minutes or so. But thankfully, pavement racing is still alive in South Carolina thanks to Florence Motor Speedway and this place, Anderson Motor Speedway.
Real interesting thing here, Bob. Bone, for the first time on any of the choose cones, has taken the bottom instead of the top. So maybe he didn't like what he felt on that last restart and now is adjusting to it.
Good perspective right there. First time we see Danny Bone choosing the bottom at the Citrus-Safe choose cone here today. That'll put Jake Crum right behind him. The top side occupied by Luke Baldwin. You know Baldwin's going to be aggressive on this restart because you can run too wide here, at least for a couple of laps, and this might be Baldwin's best shot. He talked to us about that car not exactly being to his liking right now, but all that goes out the window when you got a shot at the lead and a win here late in the going.
Sometimes all you need is a little bit of that fresh air on the front nose to help propel you into the lead.
Just want to give a little update. We said Bryce Bailey came onto pit road. He did. Bryce not feeling well, so being tended to in the infield, and that's why Bryce Bailey is out of this race. Bone and Baldwin, front row for this restart. 71 laps into this 99-lap race at Anderson Motor Speedway. The Pace-O-Matic restart zone. Bone fires. It's a good restart. So says the officials from the Smart Modified Tour. Bone grabs that lead. Baldwin under fire now for second.
Bone definitely learned something on that last restart because that was a flawless restart by the 25. As we get a car spinning in four, it looks like that's Connor Hall, and everybody behind him stacks up. Doesn't look to be too many damaged race cars.
Will Lambros has got a left rear down, I believe, on that 77 machine. A crushed in front bumper for Daniel Yates. Jimmy Wallace, the 21, involved. Jack Baldwin, turn of fortune for him from 1 week to the next. He was involved in that 7 car, as was Max Hanley in the number 45 machine, and Jason Tutterow, who is still stopped in between 3 and 4.
And a lot like Danny Bone said, that the cautions could breed cautions, and we see right now as Lambros goes to his pit with the flat left rear, but 2 cautions in a row now since that, and it's going to be really interesting to see if this trend continues or if they can get some green flags to start clicking off the laps.
Let's go back to the Racing Electronics race communication as we look at the replay, but let's talk to Joey Coulter, who's climbing through the field. Joey, how's that race car at this juncture of the race?
Pretty good. We fired off good early and kind of took off 3 on me there, but Harold Holly and the guys got me a little bit snugged up and feel pretty good about it. Just need to get some laps in here and see what the gray goes going to have for us at the end.
You've been working that outside groove a lot in this race. How is it up there, and can you continue to use that for the latter part of this race?
I think so. I mean, one of the fun things about Anderson is there's 2 grooves if you go up there. So we're having a good time, high wide dancing.
Good luck, Joey.
Thank you.
And you see the 04 car, actually it's 02 car with the 04 on the side of that race car, and he's paying tribute to his friend as well. You know, so Joey Coulter, you know, is somebody who has actually come to the modified wars, loved it. He went dirt racing for a while, super late model racing, you name it. But we got a replay of what happened down in the corner for the second time recently in this race to collect a bunch of race cars. And it was a wild one again down in 3 and 4. Let's take a look at it here going down the backstretch. We look about mid-pack there, just beyond Ryan Newman, and actually right in front of him. And you see Connor Hall involved in that one.
It almost looks like he got a little bit too much of that little curb that's down there in 3 and 4, and then caught the grass that's inside of it, and it just shot the car around.
Yeah, bad break, because that stacked up a lot of good competitors there, and we're looking forward to going back to green flag racing here in just a minute.
Joey Coulter was right on the outside of that spin by Connor Hall. Thankfully, no damage. And as he said, he's going to keep working that outside to try to just make up those positions. It's still going to be Danny Bone and Luke Baldwin in the front row, Jake Crum and Burt Myers behind them. The 2-1 car is going to start in row 2, and then you have Brandon Ward and Slate Myers that will start in row 3.
Let's go to Ryan Newman, who's trying to climb his way through the field. Ryan, have you been saving your stuff, or is that what the car has right now?
Nobody's been saving their stuff from what I'm seeing. If they are, they're waiting too long. So we're a little bit off today, and just got shuffled back here on a couple restarts and starts and stuff. So just going to do what we can here. We're worked our way back up to 8, but not exactly where we want to be by a long shot.
Well, Ryan, we wish you the best of luck, and maybe you can go out in one of those Bass Tracker boats tomorrow and do a little fishing off of Lake Norman.
I plan on it. We'll just have to, we'll have to see. I got some race cars to work on, but we'll try to get some fishing in for sure.
10-4, you're coming to the Choose Cone, bud.
10-4, thank you. Let me know where I need to go. 10-4, you're P8.
I think he was actually asking me where you should go, but I'm not going to answer that one, because if I screw it up, you ever see Ryan Newman? He's a big old tough guy.
Yeah. That's funny. I love when they ask you to make the decision for them.
That's happened a time or two. You know what hasn't happened yet this year? The Choose Cone has not been hit. Last year, wasn't it here? No, it was Florence that was creamed by Johnny K. And then we went to a temporary Choose Cone and then had to refab one, put a new clip on it. It came back, and that one got crunched too. So now a more, you know, safer, maybe cheaper Citrasafe Choose Cone for the Smart Modified Tour. Coming back to the restart. Again, Bone and Baldwin. Danny Bone choosing that inside line, which paid off for him on the last restart. What will it do now? Baldwin does not get to go to the outside of Danny Bone because Bone manipulating that throttle very well, but Crum to the inside of Baldwin. Don't think that Crum's going to be able to stay there. No, he's not. Baldwin settles into second.
And Brandon Ward is the first car side by side with Burt Myers, trying to make up the positions he lost when he got into the marbles, and he's trying to get back up in the 4th place.
A couple of side-by-side battles there. That one pans out. Burt Myers ahead of Brandon Ward, but look at behind that. Ryan Newman on the inside of Slate Myers after Coulter moved by Slate Myers. So Coulter moving up through the field, and just as he promised on the outside for position with Brandon Ward in the 0-4. 25 laps to go in this race. Joey Coulter knows he's got to go now if he's got a shot for his 3rd career Smart Modified Tour win. Brandon Ward, I think that car has been just off a little bit all day long, but the veteran savviness paying off. Battle for the lead starting to build here. Baldwin peeking to the inside, trying to set up Danny Bone in the 25.
And these are two of the fastest drivers in the last year. As you see Baldwin get underneath them, and now we're going to have a side-by-side battle coming to the stripe.
Oh, just as we say that, Baldwin has to back out. I think Bone is trying to manipulate that race car a little bit more now after that change. That car appears, he said it was tight. I think it's a little bit tighter right now, honestly, because he's having to manipulate that throttle to get that car to turn in the center and off the corner. A bad day continues for Jack Baldwin. He'll bring out the VCU Massey Comprehensive Cancer Center caution again as he slows off of turn number 4. That runner-up finish 1 week ago, you see smoke from the right side of the engine compartment, possibly from that race car.
Yeah, and what I saw, he was entering 3, and then the car just shot straight up the track, and he just had to lock it down so he didn't hit the outside wall, and now we see him stopped right outside of the exit of 4.
So we see several people, after we speak to them on the Racing Electronics radio, do really well. Baldwin did well after we spoke to him. You know, Burt Myers hanging tough in the top 5, Coulter, Newman. We should probably try to talk to some more drivers.
Absolutely. It's always nice to hear from the driver's perspective on what they're seeing, because we don't always know what they're seeing and feeling from up here in the booth. And not to forget, you also talked to Danny Bone, who's been in the front pretty much this whole race. So pretty much everybody we've talked to is having a great run so far here at Anderson Motor Speedway. It's going to be interesting, though, when they go back to the choose cone on where Bone, or we know Bone's probably going to pick the bottom, but how can Baldwin stop the jump that Bone's been getting? Because that's 2 restarts in a row. By the time they're in the middle of 1 and 2, Bone's already up and ahead and in front of Baldwin, so Baldwin's got to try to limitate that as much as possible.
One driver having himself a good run here today at Anderson is Slate Myers. We go back to the Racing Electronics Race Communications. Slate, you're in the top 10 again here at Anderson. What do you think for the remainder of this race?
Yeah, the car's definitely good here. We're fighting drives and tight, but coming from 60, I don't think we're doing too bad here.
What is it about Anderson here that you expect in the last part of this race with just over 20 to go?
Everybody's going to be knitting and grinding, I'll tell you that. Everybody's going to be side by side working for it. So nothing comes easy here. We just got to try our best and see what happens.
Wish you the best of luck, Slate.
Oh, no.
The choose cone back out on the racetrack. There is Jack Baldwin. I thought I saw a little smoke coming out from underneath the hood. We'll try to get a clarification on that. Neil Cantor there. That's Jack, his brother, Luke's crew chief. But Neil looking at what might have been going wrong on the Stokes shoes, number 7 NY. Again, week off next week. To action for the Smart Modified Tour powered by Pace-O-Matic on Saturday, March 21st at South Boston Speedway for the Pace-O-Matic King of the Modifieds presented by Dominion Energy. 125 laps, $20,000 on the line, and Jack Baldwin climbing back in. Neil helping him get buckled back up behind the wheel of that race car. But we're back to green with 21 to go. And the Pace-O-Matic 99, and Danny Bone is your leader, but Baldwin charging hard on the outside. Bone able to grab that lead once again.
Yeah, and Bone gets such a good jump.
Oh,
as Coulter gets spun.
Coulter goes around and stacks them up. Deja vu all over again in turns 3 and 4 for the Smart Modified Tour. 3 of these incidents in the last 15 laps or so.
Every incident we've had on the track so far has came in that 3 and 4 corner, whether it was the single car with Jack Baldwin or when he was spun and then the other 2 spins, and both time or all 3 times, excuse me, we've seen a giant pile up behind them, and it looks like there's a lot of casualties here this time.
Sean McIlerney in the 99, first ride for Jamie Tomeno and that team. John Michael Chanette in the black number 8. Connor Hall involved in that black and yellow 16 car. Jason Tutterow, Max Hanley pulls off He's going to come down pit road. I believe he's got a left front flat on that race car. And John Smith in the white number 71 also involved. So a rash of incidents over the last 15 minutes or so in the Pace-O-Matic 99. And you can see that 99 car of Sean McInerney. Look at how jacked up that left front is. Broken suspension on that machine. A tough end to the day for Sean McInerney, who had such a good run in 9th last week as a rookie in the Shady Grady Racing number 15, now in the 99 this week. Let's check out what happened down there in the corner, and I want you to watch that 02 machine, the gray car of Joey Coulter. Coulter running on the left part of your screen, and it looks like, hard to tell there, was that the apron coming into effect again? I'm not sure. We're going to take a look at that once again with a slow-mo to see exactly what went wrong for Joey Coulter, and maybe got a little tap from the back, quite possibly. Hard to tell right there, but Coulter going around, and he got slammed by Slate Myers with the left front of that number 4.
It looked like it could have been a combination of things. He hit that concrete spot that we've heard from a bunch of drivers that they've said that's super slick. Then it looks like he made contact to the car that was outside of him and maybe got hit from behind. So it might have been a trifecta situation there to send Coulter around.
What a bad start to the season for Joey Coulter. I know he's heartbroken because that team works so hard, as does Joey, and that car is wrecked here today in the Pace-O-Matic 99 at Anderson Motor Speedway. We still got plenty to go in this one to decide the score. The Pace-O-Matic 99. Welcome back to Anderson Motor Speedway for the Pace-O-Matic 99 under red flag conditions right now, and that'll give us the opportunity to go to the Racing Electronics Race Communication and talk to the driver of the Sundrop number 79, Jonathan Cash. Jonathan, you'll line up 7th for this restart. A pretty good run for a track, and I'm going to kid with you here that you said you didn't like earlier in the day.
Yeah, it's really not my favorite for sure, but the Hills and Derek Hill, Justin Link, the guys, they brought us a pretty good car here. And, we're just a little bit snug, but really trying to stay out of trouble here and, hopefully get a good finish. But I just can't thank those guys enough to give me an opportunity to be here and do this. We're going to try to finish it out and hopefully be here in the top 5 or 6.
Still trying to clean up some cars in turn number 4, so we got some time to talk to you. But how's it been working with David Hill and this Hillbilly Racing team with that 79, one of the more famous rides in Southern Modified Racing?
It's definitely always a good time, that's for sure. So, we kind of said we've done this deal, we're going to do the best we can do. I'm giving 100%, they're giving 100%, Justin Link's giving 100%. If nothing else, we're going to eat real good and have a good time. But we really want those finishes. We're going to try our best to, capitalize on them this year. They've got really good cars and really good engines by Tony here. And I just, I think it'll be some success down the road. Obviously, they got to learn me and I've got to learn them. And I think today is showing a little bit of, where we're starting at.
Hey, all your sponsors are getting some good TV time right now. I got to ask you, though, because you spent so many years in the karting industry, obviously other forms of racing as well, but, coming over here and doing the modified thing for the past couple of years, are you a true modified guy now?
I don't know. I can't really answer that. Some of my heart's still with the late model stock stuff just because I've done it for so long, but these modifieds are awesome. And I really, most of the guys here that race, they're really good people. And obviously, some weeks we don't all show that, but like Brandon Ward, I've known Brandon since I was probably 14 or 15 years old. And, you got guys like Ryan Newman and then Burt Myers. So it's, it's really grown on me in the last couple of years for sure. And, not too long ago we went on a show and I was classified as a modified driver, not a late model driver. So I guess I am one.
Former late model driver, now modified driver. But we loved watching you on that show, and we wish you the best of luck in the rest of this race, Jonathan.
Thank you.
Jonathan Cash, he'll line up 7th by virtue of Coulter falling out, involved in that incident, as well as Slate Myers right in front of him. So Jonathan Cash able to come out of that one unscathed. But there you see the cars, thanks to Carolina Drilling as well as Citrusate with the drone coverage. And here's what we have coming up with the Smart Modified Tour live on Flow Racing. South Boston Speedway, we've talked about that one with the Pace-O-Matic King of the Modifieds. But then we go back to Virginia for the 2nd straight time and go to Dominion Raceway. You talk about 2 beautiful racetracks. That's what we got in the next 2 events with the Smart Mods.
Yeah, I'm so excited for Dominion. I didn't get to make the trip personally last year. I am this year. Super, super excited. Just a bad to the bone racetrack. And same with South Boston, just 2 beautiful facilities, great racetracks, and it's just going to set up for amazing racing.
Hickory Motor Speedway, one of the famed legendary tracks in the South. You don't really have to talk about that because that place speaks for itself. But the modifieds with the Smart Mods going to Wake County Speedway on a Friday night, that's going to be a blast. A quarter mile with a little bit more banking than Bowman Gray Stadium. I am looking forward to Wake County Speedway and that event. And then, of course, the ultra-fast Franklin County Raceway there in Virginia. That one's going to be fun with the Kenny Minter Classic. Caraway Speedway on there a couple of different times. In fact, Caraway Speedway runs next Saturday with the Tour-type modifieds, but not a Smart Modified Tour sanctioned event. And Pulaski Motorsports Park, the old Motor Mile facility there outside of Radford, Virginia. That place is beautiful as well. High banking. We were there a couple of years ago. That's one lightning fast racetrack.
Yeah, I'm super excited to see that back on the schedule. And then you mentioned also, after that, we have the beach trip in not Caraway, in Carteret County Speedway. And that's always a blast to get everybody down there, go to the beach, and everybody can make a great weekend out of it.
Carteret is just like, it's like something out of Disney World. It really is like a racetrack and a fun park, and it has a bridge over turns 3 and 4, and so much fan-centric culture there. And I love going to the beach, the east coast of North Carolina every year. A lot of people make it a trip, go to the beach one day, then go to the racetrack. They usually have the Bowman Gray divisions there as well around that weekend on another day. So Carteret County Speedway, just a fun place to be. And we're looking forward to that on September 5th. Orange County Speedway in Rougemont, North Carolina, that will kick off the 3-race playoff format for the Smart Modified Tour.
Yeah, and last year was an amazing race to Orange County, so super excited to see that start the playoffs here for the Smart Modified Tour.
So the red flag has been lifted, and the VCU Massey Comprehensive Cancer Center caution is now waving, so the cars are back to circulating around this racetrack. Look at the damage on Joey Coulter's machine. That's some tire that rode up on the left rear quarter panel of that race car. What a bad break for Joey Coulter, but listen, the season is only 2 races in. Joey has a couple bad races. Baldwin had a bad race initially. You're going to have a bad race or two and hope it's your only mulligan or mulligans of the year. And Joey Coulter has had his in the opening 2 races of the season.
Yeah, you might have those couple rough races to start, but it's about how you bounce back, especially as we start getting into the hotter and hotter tracks where it's going to be slick and you really have to control that car. And we know Coulter's really good at car control, so these next couple races are really going to fit into his driving style.
Yeah, I wonder what's going to happen here on this next restart. That's the big question that I want to know. And I want to say a big thank you to the folks from Pace-O-Matic for not only supporting our series all the time, but being the title sponsor for this race, because since 2000, Pace-O-Matic has assembled an incredibly talented team from top to bottom, built on the grounds of integrity, innovation, and compliance, all of which aligns, I think, perfectly with the world of motorsports. And as an entertainment company that develops gaming software that players love to play, Pace-O-Matic is all about giving back to local communities, small businesses, as well as motorsports here with the Smart Modified Tour. Make sure you check them out on all their social media outlets, as well as visiting their website at pace-o-matic.com. That's Pace-O-Matic, proud supporter of grassroots initiatives and proud presenting sponsor of the Smart Modified Tour. Also proud sponsor of the defending champion, Luke Baldwin.
Luke Baldwin definitely makes Pace-O-Matic proud with how much and how strong he is on a weekly basis. Always getting that great TV time because Luke's always up in the front.
You know what Danny Bone is doing today? He's racking up some laps led, and he's going to pick up a little extra cash for being the Jostens lap leader here today at Anderson Motor Speedway, an extra $200 in his pocket. The Pace-O-Matic Pole Award being timed in during qualifying by Luke Baldwin today. Bell Helmets stage winner, that went to Danny Bone. And a Pace-O-Matic hard charger will be awarded a little bit later on to the driver who gains the most spots in the race. And one of my favorite awards is the Carolina Drilling Blast to the Front Award, an extra $200 being awarded to the highest finishing driver who has not yet won a Tour Type Modified Series event anywhere in America. So it looks like we're getting back to green flag racing. Danny Bone and Luke Baldwin will settle the score when the green flag drops. Jake Crum and Burt Myers in that second row. Then it's Brandon Ward and now Ryan Newman in row number 3 coming to this late race restart. Baldwin almost had it, but could not get alongside of Danny Bone. Bone back to the front. Look at Crum dive back to the bottom of Luke Baldwin, trying to regain that second spot.
Yeah, and Baldwin had the jump of the restart right, just couldn't get the handling on the outside, and that allows Bone to jump to such a big lead, and now he's battling for that position against Jake Crum, who gets a little bit loose in the middle of the turn there, but hangs on to it and still has about that half car length on Baldwin.
I think that car for Jake Crum a little bit tight. He settles into second. Baldwin in third. Burt Myers in the other number 1 in fourth. And then side by side behind that for the fifth spot between Ryan Newman and Brandon Ward in the 0-4. Joey Braun has rebounded nicely. Remember, he was involved in one of those wrecks in 3 and 4 a little while ago. Braun up to the 7th spot in the AmeriFast number 24.
we saw him do kind of the same thing at Florence too, where he was kind of out of the picture, and then when we got to that last restart with about 20 to go, he was right there and contending for that top 5 position.
Yeah, we're closing in on 15 to go in this one. Carter McMurray has rebounded as well to the 9th spot. Here comes Baldwin on the inside of Jake Crum. Takes him a little bit high in turn number 2. Also opens the door for Burt Myers, a pair of ones battling for 3rd. Burt Myers, maybe the preferred line. He goes to 3rd, Crum back to 4th.
It looked like last time through 1 and 2 that Baldwin kind of clipped that curb and it shot him up, and that's what moved them both up the track. But that's great for Burt Myers, who's now setting his sights on trying to get 2nd place.
Burt Myers, this was an incredible stat from last year. No top 5 runs for Burt Myers. That was crazy. Burt Myers hoping to get back to victory lane here this year with the Smart Modified Tour.
And barring any tragedy, it's looking great for him as he's running very comfortably in that 3rd position, just kind of getting a gap now on Crum, but kind of losing ground to Baldwin, so sitting in a little bit of a no man's land at 3rd.
Yeah, Burt Myers having himself a good run a little bit further back. Jonathan Cash trying to hold off Carter McMurray. McMurray running in that 9th spot. Behind him is the 77 of Will Lambros, one of those Rookie of the Year competitors, in 10th, trying to fend off Connor Hall, who was rebounded after some damage to that race car in one of the most recent incidents. Things strung out just a little bit here. Up front, it's all Danny Bone, Luke Baldwin, and Burt Myers. By the way, I mentioned Burt Myers, no top 5s last year. I lied. Burt Myers did have a handful of top 5 runs last year, but he did not lead, you know, the laps that we're used to him seeing in the Smart Series. Here comes Brandon Ward on the inside. Ward trying to regain that spot from Ryan Newman, who overtook the position just a few laps ago.
And I think a part of the lap leading thing for Burt Myers is kind of just this field has become so talented. There is talent all the way from the top to the bottom. And so you're seeing everything divvied out a little bit more with laps led, wins, and everything else.
Here comes Brandon Ward, the winner at Florence last week. Digging on the bottom, but just can't get the momentum off the corner. Newman using that high line to his advantage to get that run up off the corner and keep the 0-4 at bay.
And that's a great job by Ward to get up top to get around the Yates car so that Braun couldn't pin him down below it and use the lap traffic as a pick to get around.
Ryan Newman kind of bottlenecking everybody here. Ward, Joey Braun, and Carter McMurray behind him. And it looks like that number 2 Bass Pro Shops machine might be a little tight at this stage of the game with 5 to go. Look at Newman dance with that throttle pedal just to get on it enough to keep the 0-4 behind him. Danny Bone's got about a 7-car length lead over 2nd place running Luke Baldwin. Here comes Carter McMurray. McMurray by Joey Braun on the outside, making it look easy, and now trying to get up alongside of Brandon Ward in a battle for 6th.
We've seen McMurray kind of run that outside a lot today, and he's now using it to his advantage to try to get past this gaggle of cars that try to jump into that top 5 position.
I think everybody's holding on. 2 to go for Danny Bone. Going to come around to take the white flag this next time by. Danny Bone, 1 lap to go for the driver from New Jersey. Incredible performance. His car owner, Mike Smith, with John Smith years ago, led every lap, while Danny Bone leads a bunch here today to win the 2nd race of the year, the Pace-O-Matic 99 for the Smart Modified Tour. Wow, Danny Bone was strong here today at Anderson and grabs his 3rd win in the last 10 races he has competed with the Smart Modified Tour.
Yeah, great comeback from last week where he kind of got in that unfortunate situation and Brandon Ward just beat him out in a late race restart. This in 24th, and Carson Lofton, who had the early engine issue, finishing 25th. So Danny Bone is going to pull into victory lane and get ready to celebrate with his first win of the early season here at Anderson Motor Speedway. As he prepares to climb out, we will toss it down to the track and to Bob Dillner.
We are down here in victory lane with Danny Bone. He's got a big entourage of team members down here in victory lane and some fans up there as well. Hard-fought battle by all today in the Pace-O-Matic 99, but it's the blue and white Andretti prepared machine with Popeye on the roll cage there in the cockpit of that race car. Well, this 25 was strong like Popeye today here at Anderson Motor Speedway. A little bit of a drink for Danny Bone before he climbs out victorious. He's got the Pace-O-Matic checkered flag. Danny Bone wins the second race of the year for the Smart Modified Tour powered by Pace-O-Matic. 3 wins in his last 10 races with the Smart Modifieds. Celebrating with his team. High fives for everybody. There's Andretti. Danny Bone was excited to get behind the wheel of this race car when he did last year, and it has been a whale of a run. You said first time here, didn't know what to expect. I don't know if you expected to be up in victory lane here today, but you had a whale of a performance.
Well, you told me that this car has led every lap here, and it won the last time I was here, so I had to stand up to my end of the bargain. But, yeah, just honestly, this car is a blast to drive. We clicked right off the bat last year, won our second night out, and then it seems like every race we have a car we contend with. So as a driver, you can't ask for much more than that. But got to thank everybody that jumped on board: BKA Properties, Amerifast Supply, Alpine Partners, Dancer Farms, Cutting Edge Stoneworks, Chalu, Roush Yates Motors. Yeah, it's like I said, it's all those people, Hypercoil Springs, that get us to the racetrack, and without them, we wouldn't be here. But this is cool for me. I always like to win at new tracks, so I've never seen this place, so I pulled in here this morning. And the win here is pretty awesome. My brother told me I'd forget about him, but my younger brother Andrew and his wife Britt are expecting, so announced today there's a boy, so there's going to be another Bone boy in the family. And I told my dad that Grandpa usually pays for the racing, so he better get back to work.
I want to know one thing. You chose the inside after a couple of choices on the outside for those restarts. What was the change of mind there late in the race?
Yeah, I mean, I was a little snug the whole race, and I felt like rolling the outside was the way to go because I could get a better run off the corner. But, you open up the inside, and if the guy gets a good start like Jake did there and runs you up the racetrack, it changes the race. So figured I'd play defense a little bit more than, be vulnerable on a restart.
Well, you have one more duty here to reach into that purple Hoosier bag. There is Mike Smith.
It's the bonus. Asked him about the bonus he gets on the front stretch.
What's the bonus?
He told me, he says, if you luck into winning the first time you go there, I will hand you $1,000 cash on the front stretch. So I hope he's got it in his pocket because I'm going to ask him for it.
Danny Bowe with a $1,000 bonus. He's going to reach into the bag and pull out a number, and it'll be the 5th place finisher that gets the free tire from Hoosier Racing Tire. And now Chris Williams with the presentation of the Jostens Championship Trophy, the Smarty that Danny Bone, when he won his first Smarty, he slept with it and put a picture up on social media. We'll see what he does here tonight after winning the first time at Anderson Motor Speedway. Danny Bone and the Alpine Partners team back in victory lane. You hear the fans in the grandstand, way to go, Luke. I know, I can tell by that smirk on your face you wanted one spot better. Could you have done anything different?
No, I don't think so at the end there. That heat cycle kind of killed us. I don't really know how it affected him, but we just kind of lost all front grip, and our tight got worse. So, yeah, it's unfortunate. A little disappointed, but you can't be too disappointed after coming back from last week and putting it on the podium. So just grateful for all the guys' hard work over the week to get this thing back together, get another motor in it, and make it as fast as it is. But yeah, it's a little frustrating, just too many yellows. one less yellow or one lap later after a yellow, we might have been there. But it is what it is. Congrats to Danny. Drove a good race. I kind of put us behind the 8 ball at the start of the race there in that first run. Just rode probably a little too hard. And, yeah, you know, if we got a little bit more green flag racing before that last run, I think it would have been okay. But that's enough excuses out of me. Happy to run second and put these guys in a good spot. They deserve to finish a race.
And I know you're happy to go back to South Boston for a big payday possibly in a couple of weeks and maybe become a king again.
Yeah, it'd be nice. I've always loved going to that racetrack. We've had good runs every time we've been. So, yeah, it's nice to have more races and good racetracks for me to look forward to. I wanted to go 3 for 3 here. That's what stings the most, but it is what it is. We'll move on. Thanks to Flow Racing for putting these broadcasts on. Smart Modified Tour, Pace-O-Matic, Stanley Law Group, Mohawk Northeast, Bell Helmets, Swift Springs, and, you know, everybody that lays a hand in this car.
Luke Baldwin, always a gentleman and a great racer. Good racer here at Anderson as well. Won the Smart Modified Tour race here last year, as well as the Cars Tour Pro Late Model race as well. This guy, one of the elder statesmen, if you will, of the Smart Modified Tour, and a great run for you today in the 3rd spot. Where were you just missing from where the 25 was?
We've been working so hard on forward drive, and we got too much now. The car just wouldn't rotate, and I had to just sling it around. And after the pit stop, I cooked the right rear trying to make it turn. But when you put everything into perspective, our performance lately hasn't been great. So this is leaps and bounds for us. Obviously, we want to be 2 more spots ahead, but we've got something we can work with now, which is a positive for our team.
Burt Myers, great run here today for the Citrus Safe machine. And let me tell you, today's race here at the Smart Modified Tour, powered by Pace-O-Matic, what a run here today. Luke Baldwin set fast time earlier in qualifying, but it was Danny Bone's day here at Anderson Motor Speedway. He was able to dominate this race. His car owner won here years ago, led all 125 laps. He was actually able to grab every single lap led here today for this 99-lap race and did a dominant job to get back into Pace-O-Matic victory lane. Just an impressive run for that Freehold, New Jersey driver, Danny Bone, and what he was able to accomplish here. And this sets him up very well in the race for the championship. Think about it, 3rd last week at Florence Motor Speedway. The win here today. Danny Bone well on his way to contending for a championship this year with the Smart Modified Tour. The Pace-O-Matic 99 at Anderson Motor Speedway, and a dominant performance by Danny Bone, leading every single lap of this one, but plenty of battles throughout the field.
Yeah, there's tons of great racing, and we saw Danny Bone take control super early, but the main 3 factors early on were Danny Bone, Jake Crum, and Brandon Ward, and we saw with Bone winning the stage, the Bell Helmet stage 1, and then restarting, getting that great jump, and then it was just set sails after that.
Burt Myers was a factor here today in the black and orange #1. Jake Crum led some laps in that Mount Airy Toyota #1. Brandon Ward in the 04 was a factor, but Danny Bone charged back, was able to take the lead from Jake Crum. Crum with a good run here today inside the top 5, and then late in this race, a bunch of melees in turns 3 and 4.
Yeah, it was really impressive by Danny Bone to really be able to survive all those restarts and just maintain dominance in this race and come away with his first win of the Smart Modified season.
Yeah, how impressive is that for Danny Bone, able to lead every single one of the 99 laps and climb out victorious in Pace-O-Matic victory lane for the 3rd time in his last 10 races with the series. Danny Bone still celebrating down trackside. We still have a lot more racing to go here. Remember, we'll be back 2 weeks at South Boston Speedway on Saturday, March 20th.